Joining us now is Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the Susan B. Anthony List, and John Bursch, senior counsel and vice president of appellate advocacy with Alliance Defending Freedom. He has argued 12 U.S. Supreme Court cases since 2011. Thank you both for being here this historic week. Marjorie, you were on the steps of the Supreme Court at that historic pro-life rally yesterday. What was the mood like? How did it compare to other abortion cases?
I've never experienced anything like yesterday, and I can only attest to the power of the Holy Spirit. There was the other side, literally on the other side of the fence. We were on one side, they were on the other. There were on our side, the whole diverse, beautiful pro-life movement from all over the country, completely unified, full of love, full of a life message. On the other side, where I would have stood not too long ago, it was not full of love. There was a lot of anger. And I would say just more on a strategic level, away from that, but a fruit of this is that the pro-life movement is very much on offense. And everyone felt that. Everyone knew that there was hope. It was a really beautiful moment.
That is a beautiful way to put it. John, from that legal perspective, can you break down what is the question the justices need to answer and what are the possible outcomes of this case?
Well, the big question is whether Roe versus Wade and Casey should remain on the books. Mississippi's primary argument is that those are bad precedents, sensationally bad precedents, egregiously wrong, and they should be reversed. And if the court doesn't go all the way, then whether they should at least get rid of the viability line, which protects states and individuals working through the democratic process to protect life before viability. So that's what the justices have to decide. One possible outcome is they just get rid of the viability line, and then it goes back to the states to try to negotiate what that looks like. Another would be that Roe and Casey are gone entirely, and then Susan B. Anthony is going to be working in every state to get pro-life laws in place. And it's probably too early to predict, but I think the consensus yesterday was that the Mississippi law will be upheld.
Wow, that's incredible. Marjorie, as a pro-life leader, how are we going to look back on this week in the pro-life history books?
I think we're going to have forgotten all the legal arguments, but we will remember one thing, that there were human rights battles that have been won over time, and this will rank as equal to all the other ones that we have surmounted, all the ones that we have won since abolition, suffrage, the civil rights movement. Now the pro-life movement, human rights movement is culminating.
Incredible. John, what did you make of the Supreme Court justices' comments and questions as you listened to oral arguments yesterday? Well,
there were some important ones. We start with the premise that life is a human right. And I felt like at least 6 of the 9 justices kind of got that concept. The justices that we're looking at in particular are Chief Justice Roberts and Justices Kavanaugh and Barrett. They're going to be the swing votes on whether they go all the way to reverse Roe. And they said some encouraging things. What Justice Kavanaugh said was that the Constitution is silent about abortion. And when the Constitution is silent, then the court has to be scrupulously neutral, what were his words, and leave that decision to the democratic process. So that was very encouraging. As for Justice Barrett, she said, well, imagine a world where you had a state and they had a 14th Amendment that simply said you've got a protection against due process. Where do you find an abortion right anywhere in that? And the attorneys for the abortion clinic and the United States government were not able to answer that question. And then you heard, as we expected, very positive comments from Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, Justice Gorsuch. So on the whole, we felt very confident about the argument.
Marjorie, it's sounding really encouraging on when it comes to the court. So should we expect some major pro-abortion reaction from the Biden administration and from Congress?
Oh, you bet. They have not been in a mode of legislating of late because they haven't had to. They've had everything. They've got the law completely in their hands. Now, as they find it slipping, when they find it slipping, they're going to have to, they will up their game. They have the big, deep money pot. So money gone into legislatures to try to fight our pro-life laws will happen right away. On the political side, they're going to be trying to defeat, of course, our candidates who make life a priority. And our candidates will be required to make life a priority very soon. So that's around the corner. Also, the abortion pill. We cannot lose sight of that. They will be pushing that more than ever. And that's another fight for a day that we can discuss and maybe another time.
Thank you for that reminder. John, we have about a minute left, but can you explain what was Mississippi's defense in the court yesterday and how did the abortion clinic respond to that?
Their primary defense was that the court should overrule its precedent, and that's kind of a big deal. There's this notion that when the Supreme Court issues a ruling, we want to keep that in place so people can rely on it. But the problem with Roe and Casey is that they have been disastrous decisions. They have nothing to do with what the Constitution actually says. They were purely political, and they've proved to be unworkable. It puts the the courts in the situation where they're in the middle of this political debate that really belongs in the democratic process. And the abortion clinic and the United States government didn't really have a good response to that. They kept pounding the table and saying, well, Roe and Casey are super precedents. Well, there are no such thing as super precedents in the law. And when the law is wrong, then it needs to be fixed. And Justice Kavanaugh gave a whole litany of cases, including Brown versus Board of Education, which demonstrate that the court does get it wrong sometimes.
That's incredible. And I know we were all speaking beforehand about the importance of praying for our justices right now, leading up to the Supreme Court decision. I want to encourage viewers, you can go to dobbscase.com, join Marjorie Dannenfelser on a prayer call every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So grateful to have you two experts here, Marjorie Dannenfelser, John Bursch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.